Is your DPDR different? Is it special somehow? You might be thinking that it's more scary or it's more existential, or maybe you got into it a different way than everybody else. So you think, well, maybe the way out of it has to be different as well. If you are thinking that, then this is precisely the video for you, because that's exactly what I experienced as well. And I can tell you what you can do about it and how you can recover. And that indeed your DPDR is special, but not in the way that you think. When I was going through my recovery, I actually thought that the symptoms were part of nicotine withdrawal symptoms. So I just happened to quit smoking, and 3 or 4 days after I quit, the DPDR just hit me like a ton of bricks. I just woke up one day and I was in it. And so when I was going through all the symptoms, like the spaced outness and the memory issues, I just thought it was the tobacco. I thought it was the withdrawals. Everybody else is scared of the symptoms, but I'm not scared of the symptoms. So does that mean mine is different? DPDR is very personal, and it takes the shape of your deepest fears, whether that's feeling like you're going insane, you don't have control, like you're never going to get out of this. It's taking on that shape. And it did with me as well, except it wasn't the fear of losing control or the fear of going insane. For me, what I actually realized is that I wasn't so scared of the symptoms themselves. I was more scared about my life. Just about, am I going to be able to get that job? Or am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to do that? But what you need to understand here for you and for your journey is that because your mind has created this, it knows exactly what you're scared of. It knows how to push your buttons. So the uniqueness of the DPDR for you is real. Your story is real. But the truth of it is that the underlying structure of it, the mechanism which is causing it, is the same. And I know that might be so hard to believe, and I didn't really believe it as well, because I just thought, well, hey, actually my life is kind of okay, and I'm not even scared of the symptoms, and this is just some kind of nicotine withdrawal. But it turns out that when I did start to look into it more and begin my recovery journey, the more and more I actually realized that the underlying sort of mechanism of what's causing it was actually the same as everybody else. And it didn't matter that I hadn't come into it via a panic attack or taking drugs or, some kind of trauma or anything like that. The underlying thing which was causing it was actually the same as the people who had come into it through drugs or through trauma or through any other way. And this is sort of where it gets really interesting, because DPDR isn't here to torture you. And I know you've probably read that, well, it's here to protect you. And in a way it is, but also it's here to give you a message. Like your mind and your body have been subtly giving you messages that things need to change. Something isn't quite right with your life or your way of thinking right now. And pretty much the truth of it is you've just been ignoring that message. And it was the same with me, and with everybody I help, they go through similar things too. So what you've got to realize is that when your mind and your body tries to give you this message that something's got to change and you ignore it, it's going to keep sending the message, and the messages are going to get stronger and stronger until in the end, your mind almost screams at you, hey, something has to change. So some of those messages might be things like, you are a perfectionist and it's impossible to be a perfectionist in life. You need to learn how to know your limits and set limits. Or it could be that you're too controlling, or you're too much of a pushover, or that thing that you always do, which you know that you shouldn't do, but you do it anyway. Maybe you should stop doing that thing. And so the good news is that if you listen to that message, then change is possible. This isn't a life sentence that you've been given. The issue with you is that because you haven't been listening to these messages, it's now built up to a point where your nervous system is just oversensitized. It just can't handle all this stuff, and nor can your mind. And so you're anxious right now, and the symptoms are scary. And so that's the really horrible thing about this, is that instead of listening to the message about what's actually wrong and what you need to fix, you're consistently focusing on the symptoms. And your mind, instead of going, what's wrong with my life? How do I fix it? It's now, the symptoms are what's wrong with my life, and how do I fix those? So this is what's happening with you, and this is what's holding you back. And I talk about this in a lot of depth in the Freedom course, where I teach you how to interpret those messages, hear those messages, and to get back into that safe zone and out of survival mode. So is your DPDR special? Yes or no? Well, the answer is yes, it's special in regards to the messages that it's sending to you, which are 100% personalized to you. But no, it's not special in that the underlying things which is causing the DPDR, which is essentially getting anxious about a lot of stuff, is surprisingly consistent across everybody. And the thing I've seen time and time again is that when people shift away from the symptoms and more towards their life, then that's when they start to see progress. And I'm not talking about just getting on with life and trying to do coping techniques and all that type of stuff. It's about listening to the messages, listening to what's actually wrong. The symptoms isn't the thing which is wrong. There's something else which is wrong. And so getting on with your life is sort of growing and developing and figuring out those things which are wrong. And once you figure them out, there's going to be no need for those messages to be sent. And I get it. I thought my case was completely the worst. And everybody I help, they all think that theirs is the worst that they're going through because it's such a personal experience for you. But not everyone can be right. Not everyone can have the worst experience. And in all of these instances, they started to make progress when they stopped trying to solve the problem and they actually started to listen to the problem. And so you're not broken and you're not stuck like this forever. You can see it as an invitation for you to go deeper and the beginning of something which is going to be better. And if you do want help on this journey, then I'm here and the course is here for you whenever you want to take that step to dive deeper into this and to get those answers and to get recovery. So I do hope I can see you in there and that I can help you. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.